Hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Hendry and Parker's podcast legal shorts, we're calling it, for lack of a better term. We're trying to just provide some information on topics that people often ask us about without getting into the weeds on it, just to give you some basic information on some things. We've talked about a lot of different things, but today the question is, should I get a divorce? People will often ask the question, should I get a divorce? Is it worth the time? It's going to cost me a ton of money. Is it even worth it? My relationship's not working out. Something's got to give. What do I do?
Well, first off, you have to ask yourself, what is your tolerance for misery? So if things are really bad and you don't see it working out, it's probably better to get divorced sooner rather than later. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One, alimony. Typically, alimony means that the party in a worse position than the other party may be able to get financial support from the other party for a period of time, sometimes even for the rest of their lives.
Can you give us an example of one of those?
Well, typically alimony is only going to be awarded in either medium or long-term marriages. If you've been married less than 6 or 7 years, there's probably not going to be alimony on the table unless there's some really, really unique circumstances. Long-term marriages, which I think are typically defined over 15 years, those can be times when a court may be more willing to grant one party alimony, and that'll typically be where there's a wife or a husband who's stayed at home to raise the kids. The other party's gone out and made all the money. The other party's decided it's time for a divorce, and the party who stayed at home their entire lives is going to be in a far worse position to maintain their standard of living without alimony.
So what are some of the things that can happen to me if I just decide to ignore this? Say we separated. In our minds, we're not married anymore. We live in different homes. We live in different parts of town. I don't talk to her. She doesn't talk to me. Why isn't that just suffice?
Well, I don't know if you plan on getting married again, but certainly if you're separated, you're not allowed to get married again with somebody else. I guess you could continue to live with them, but a lot of issues can come up. One, if the other party decides that they're going to get divorced 8-10 years down the road, that could implicate the alimony clock. Two, it depends whether or not you have kids. If you have kids and you're living apart, and the party who keeps the kids more than the other party may be entitled to some child support. And the longer that you don't pay child support, you stay living apart, the more your arrearages or the back pay that you owe in child support can build, which is obviously not a good thing.
What if I'm separated?
Mm-hmm.
Wife and I, we have credit cards, and she goes out, or he goes out, and has a big Christmas shopping spree down at the International Mall. Am I on the hook for that?
Well, you're probably going to be on the hook for that. Those are normally going to be considered marital assets. Now, if it's pretty clear from the evidence that you've gone out and spent all the family fortune on frivolous things, or for yourself, or particularly for maybe a paramour or a lover, the court can consider that, and they may say that you've dissipated marital assets, and they're going to make you repay that one way or another during the divorce proceeding.
So legally, it would probably be wise to break it off, it sounds like, and to have something formalized as a divorce. But is it worth the money? I mean, can I even afford this? I mean, it sounds like it's going to – I've heard it costing $20,000, $30,000 to get a divorce.
Some divorces can cost that much, especially if they're highly contested. There's a lot of assets, a lot of kids involved. Those can up the cost significantly. But most divorces are not like that. Most divorces can be resolved for a lot less money than that. And when it's all said and done, you're going to be happy that you're on with your life and that everything's in order regarding children, child support, alimony or no alimony, and things like that.
A lot of times we find that the husband and the wife, or the partners, they both want the same thing. They both want to go their separate ways. They want to live their own lives and hit the reset button. But both of them are just worried that it's going to put them in the poorhouse to do it. But the thing to remember is if both of you want the same thing, this is pretty much uncontested, and it's a pretty easy process. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you do it by yourself because there are some pitfalls that you can get into. However, it can be done by yourself, but it is important to hire an attorney. One of the things we do at Hendry Parker is we allow you instead of paying a retainer, sometimes you can come in and pay us one fee and we can get it up through a certain position. If it's uncontested, we lower the price down and make it a lot easier for you to be able to do that. So we have some options for you depending on your situation, but you have to call us and come in and do a free consultation.
Absolutely.
Before you can do that. So if you're not sure as to whether or not you should get a divorce for whatever reason, give us a call. We can be located at 1004 Broadway in Dunedin, downtown Dunedin.
And the phone number 727-205-5555.
And we're also located at hendryparker.com. Come on in, have a conversation with us about it. It doesn't cost you anything to just have a free consult or case evaluation. We'll take a look at it and let you know what it might cost you, and we'll work with you. And we also do 20% off for people that work in the service industry or the hospitality industry. So that's something else to consider when picking an attorney. So that's all we have for Should I Get a Divorce? I like the way you put it. What is your tolerance for misery?
Got to ask that question before you can answer the other.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious question. So my tolerance is not very high. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
So we're going to take off, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.